Hello, all Hoosier fans, Hoosier haters, and everyone in between. This is the Crimson Coliseum podcast. And on today's episode, we're going to be going, it's week 5, and the Big Ten season is officially here. It's time for conference play. And now it's time to talk about the teams, how I feel about the rankings of all the teams here. We got some changes, not much, just because it's non-conference play. But as we get into Big Ten play, we're going to see a lot of changes. So the amount of tiers are the same. Some teams have moved up and down. Uh, and obviously I'll do my biggest movers and who I'm most surprised by, who I'm most disappointed by, all that stuff. So start out with the non-bowl contenders. We got Purdue down switching spots with UCLA at 18. With the 13th best offense at 354.7 yards and the 18th best defense at 392.3 yards. They have not had a good past couple of games. They lost at Oregon State 38-21 and had probably the most fluky interception I've seen in my life. That was a pick six, just bounced off a shoe. That's just weird. But this was probably their best chance to win a game this season. Like they're at home against Northwestern, I think. They have the Northwestern game, which could be a win, but they won't get many more opportunities to win this season. It's just the way their schedule came out to. Sucks, but just is what it is. And they definitely have the worst loss between them and UCLA, who I have at my number 17 spot. UCLA has the least amount of yards per game at 292 yards, and the 17th best defense at 387.3 yards. Them and UCLA and Purdue, one of the only teams that actually give up more yards than they allow that they produce. But the reason why I have UCLA higher is just because they actually competed with UCLA on the LSU on the road, which I'm actually honestly shocked by from UCLA. It was 17-17 at halftime. I'm like, wait a minute. Then they lost, but it just is what it is. And now they get number 8 Oregon. Yay. And Purdue gets an upset Nebraska. So at least that's at home for them. So they might. That's going to be a hard game for them. But yeah, those are just the bottom two teams, and I might make another tier like Jack did with the seller for them. We'll just see how this week turns out. Number 16, I still have Minnesota. 16, 15, and 14 are still the same. So we have Minnesota, Northwestern, and Maryland. Minnesota has the 15th best offense, but the third best defense. I debated about putting them up there to 15 just because they have better stats. But um, at right now, Minnesota and Northwestern are basically tied for me. Um, Minnesota lost to Iowa 14-31, and they're at Ann Arbor to face Michigan, which I don't think Michigan's played a road game all year, and it's already week 5. Interesting. And we'll get to them later. But it's a disappointing loss losing to Iowa 14-31, but I don't think it's enough to get them to the bottom two. So they're just stuck where they are. Yeah, 15th is Northwestern, 17th best offense and 13th best defense, 294.5 yards on offense, 302.3 yards on defense. Another team that's given up more yards than they produce, and they lost at Washington 24-5. And the reason why I have Northwestern still ahead of Minnesota was because they had similar losses in terms of score differential. And but the main difference was that Northwestern was on the road in the Pac-12, in Pac-12 territory with Washington instead of at home against Iowa. In Minnesota's, I think that was a trophy game too, so that's like that's not good. Losing that badly in a trophy game. But this week, Northwestern's on a bye, which is going to be good because their next game is Indiana at home. But we're going to see how they do the rest of the season. I don't think they're going to be that great, but it's just what the season will come out to. At 14 is Maryland. They haven't done enough just yet to get to the bowl contenders. They had the fifth best offense at 464 yards, but the 16th worst defense, 16th best defense at 348.8 yards. They beat Villanova 38-20, and then this week they're in Bloomington to face Indiana. But they need to win a conference game to get to bowl contender status. And then it goes with Northwestern, it goes for Minnesota, goes for UCLA and Purdue. If they're able to get a conference game, I'll put them in. I could put them in bowl contenders because they haven't shown me that they are bowl contenders. Because an 18-point win over an FCS opponent isn't great. Like it just isn't fantastic at all. Defense has not looked stellar, and I'd be concerned if I'm a Maryland fan against that high-powered offense that Indiana has. Um, it just with the schedule that they had, allowing 348 yards per game is cause for concern. That offense is great. Ty Felton's fantastic, but defenses play complementary football for them to be successful. And now going into bowl contenders, down 2 spots from where they were at 11 is Michigan State. They lost at Boston College 23-19. They have the 10th best offense with 400.8 and the sixth best defense at 254.8. And the reason why I dropped them down is just because they lost. They had a winnable game. Uh, you gotta win those. Can't be throwing those interceptions. You gotta win those games. On the road especially. And Bill O'Brien's did a great job at Boston College, but still that was a winnable game for Michigan State. And this week they're going to be hosting Ohio State, which is the third best team in the country. Good luck, my friends. That's going to be a tough, tough, tough game. Coming in at number 12, we've got Wisconsin, who they didn't play last week, so their stats are going to stay the same, but they have the 14th best offense at 354.3 yards and the 12th best defense at 301.7 yards. They're going to be on the road against USC, who had well, we'll get to them, but it's going to be a big game for them. I am not super high on them, but they could easily turn that around if they win. Winning cures all, as they say, and Luke Fickell's group has just gotta do better this week because like getting boat raced by Bama, it's obvious, but just gonna see what happens. At number 11, we got Rutgers, who is down a spot after their win against Virginia Tech 26-23. It's not because of them. I just think a different team's win was just so much better. Close win on the road. It's good win. But they're good. But the fourth best offense with 471 yards and the 10th best defense at 296. And they're going to be facing Washington next week. They're going to be at home in New Jersey. And it's going to decide basically how I feel about both these teams. Because at number 10 is Washington. Welcome to Big Ten, Washington. Glad you're here. Good win at home, 24-5. Weird score, but you made it work. Eighth best offense at 456.3 and the fifth best defense at 235.7. The first team here second team that is top 10 in both offense and defense. Third, actually. The first team that's in single digits in both categories because Rutgers the 10th best off defense and then Michigan State the 10th best offense. But they're but you're going to New Jersey. New Jersey people. They're going to Jersey all the way across the country. which is going to be interesting. I see how they do on the road. But this is a pretty good team, and if they honestly get a second win, they may they may be could be maybe both favorites. And then number nine, probably the biggest drop out of anyone right now is Nebraska, who was five last week. Um, Ninth best offense at 402.2 yards, eighth best defense, 286.8. Lost to Illinois, 24 to 31 at home, and this week they're at Purdue. I was debating about dropping them further, but I couldn't just yet. But they had that win. They had that win, and they sold it. Now Matt Rule is two wins against ranked opponents, and they haven't scored a point in overtime since like 2014. I knew this team had questions, but good Lord, you gotta win that one. Gotta. I'm sorry, but you gotta. Just let it slip away. They were dominating the whole game, had control, and just went away. I don't understand it. I'm baffled. I'm baffled. I'll tell you what it is. I'm baffled. At number eight is in the beginning of the bowl favorites is Indiana. And yes, they're dropping a spot because Illinois, number seven, moved up two from their win against Nebraska. Indiana right now is the third best offense with 513.8 yards and the second best defense, 119.2 yards. And they beat UNC Charlotte 52 to 14. And this week they're hosting Maryland. And that's the next game because it's the most important game. And if Indiana wins, they'll be one game away from a bowl game, which and this game versus Maryland is very big because this Maryland game, the Maryland game's really decided how if Indiana goes to a bowl game because each time they win, they win that game, they go to a bowl game, and when they lose, they don't. There's that correlation recently. There's been that correlation. So massive game at home. The rain honestly helps them because they're gonna like if it is gonna be raining from I think it's Hurricane Helen. Uh, I gotta make sure I get that right. But there's reports that it's going to be raining in Bloomington. Yeah, Hurricane Helen, and there's going to be rain coming down in Bloomington on Saturday, and I think that'll be massive for that the running game because Maryland likes to throw the football. At number seven is obviously Illinois, with the 12th best offense at 379.2 yards and the ninth best defense at 292.2 yards. A really good win against Nebraska on the road. This week, they're hosting Penn State. And honestly, I don't think this is sustainable. I'm gonna be completely honest. They have been squeaking with these wins. And yeah, it's two ranked wins, but Kansas is not looking good this year. And who knows how well Nebraska is. We'll see with this Penn State game, because Penn State on the road, that's just a different animal than Nebraska or Kansas. It's the top team in the conference, headed to them. It'll be interesting to see what happens. At number six, hey, USC, welcome to the Big Ten. We like to run the football here. Didn't think you knew that. Uh, they lost to Michigan 27 to 24, and with the seventh best offense and the 14th best defense, the 13th ranked team in the country dropped four spots, which is tied for the most with Nebraska. And I debated about putting them a little higher, but no. Uh, you lost when allowing 32 passing yards. Really? I saw this on it's just you knew Michigan was going to run the football. it was honestly like the Packers Colts game. They knew the Packers were going to run the football because they didn't really have a quarterback. But that run defense, golly, you got and Michigan has a really good running game. I'm not going to discredit them, but come on. 456.7 yards of offense, that's seventh, and 311 yards on defense, which is 14th. Ain't good, Chief. Speaking of not good stats, number five is Michigan, coming at number 12 in the AP poll, and they're up four spots, which is the biggest mover out of anyone. And something just feels weird with them. The 16th best offense with 327.5 yards, and the 15th best defense with 323 yards. Like, they have this win against USC, which I will give them all the credit for. But the pass versus run disparity is legitimately kind of insane. Um, I'm just trying to get to the stats real quick, so I'm 100% right on it. So 32 passing yards, 290 rushing yards, and the disparity was 46 to 12. Seriously? And they were 4 of 15 on third down, but they made all their fourth down conversions. Like, USC should have won this game in every stretch of the word, but Michigan just squeaks by. And now they get another home game, which I think they haven't been on the road at all this season. Yeah, they had a 5 game homestand to start the season. And now they get 2 games on the road after this, but it's just something feels weird about them. Something feels weird about them. And we'll see how they do against Minnesota, who actually has a pretty good defense so far. Um, but that passing rushing yards is just oh God, it's not good. The disparity isn't great. At number four is Iowa. I debated on putting Michigan over Iowa, but the stats, the feeling I have in my gut is just telling me that they aren't as good as their record shows, and I could be completely wrong, but I am just concerned. If I was a Michigan fan about that passing offense, because go back to Michigan real quick. Alex Orji is a run first quarterback, way more than a guy like Lamar Jackson is. 12 passing attempts in a full game is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, credit Michigan with the game plan, but USC has to. They're very one dimensional. That's the main point. They're very one dimensional. But anyways, going to Iowa. Speaking of a formerly one dimensional team, Iowa, the 11th best offense at 397.8 yards and the 7th best defense at 272.8 yards. Really good win, 34 to 14. I just got to make sure I know what that game is called real quick. Um, why can't I find? Because I believe that's a trophy game. Floyd of Rosedale. It's just a pig, which fair enough. It's Iowa and Minnesota, but yeah, the Floyd of Rosedale Trophy stays with Iowa after what happened last year. Ty Schmidt's really got to be loving this week. 34 to 14 win. This week they have a bye, which is very good for them. They need it. They need the rest to really get ready for the rest of this Big Ten season. And that's the end of the bowl favorites. I think if Iowa can get a good win, which I don't know if they'll have till like Oregon comes to town or Ohio State comes to town, but They're capped at 4 until they get that good win. Playoff contenders. And these are teams with who I think are starting out really good or anything like that. So Oregon, who had a bye last week, sixth best offense with 461.7 yards, 11th best defense, 298.3 yards. They're going to UCLA. This is the definition of a trap game, and LSU nearly got caught in that trap. Um, I don't have many concerns that I had in the previous weeks because they alleviated those in their previous game against Oregon State. And we got to see how they do with the first Big Ten game. Ironically, against a former Pac-12 opponent. So, well, we got to see how they do in the Midwest, but still like their chances. At number two, improving a spot because of USC falling is Penn State. Second best offense at 537.7 yards and the fourth best defense at 229 yards. That was absolutely inflated because of the Kent State win, 56-0. Golly. This week they're going to be um uh who's hosting that game? Because I have both the verses. 1 second. Yeah, they're hosting Illinois. And first Big Ten game of the season, but this is probably be their toughest contender so far. A ranked opponent going into Happy Valley. See how Tom Allen's defense really does. And then at number one, it's going to be staying that way until they lose. It's Ohio State, the best offense with 552 yards, the best defense at 180 yards. Last week they dismantled Marshall 49-14. This week they have Michigan State. It just is what it is. It's Ohio State. Like they're gonna be good no matter what. But yeah, like those are my power rankings for today. Thank you all for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe on YouTube, share on all platforms, and ask yourself if you could really change one position on this power rankings, who would it be?